Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder when I head out for a walk and deliver an episode to you while I stroll around. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is a lovely day here in suburban Chicago. The sun is shining. The weather is very pleasant. I mean, it's 33 degrees, which is about 0 Celsius. So it's chilly, but you know, it's December in Chicago, so it should be chilly. But the sun is out, which means it's actually a pretty nice time to walk, and the wind is not very strong. So between those two things, it's a perfect day to come out and do a top of the stack. Top of the stack. Yes. My favorite episode to do each month, where I just run some numbers, talk to you about what games I've been playing. It's kind of rat-a-tat. Hopefully you enjoy it too. I always think it's fun to hear what people have been playing, get their impressions, get some ideas about what's going on with them. Speaking of which, I do hope that you'll consider swinging by the Board Game Geek Guild 3269 to let me know how you've been doing on your top of the stack. Things have gotten a bit quiet there lately. I suspect with the change in commutes, fewer people are listening to your friendly neighborhood Pick Up and Deliver podcast. If you're listening to this in the future, feel free to swing by the current guild and let us know what's on the top of your stack for the current month. Nobody says you have to be caught up to participate in the conversation. I keep an eye on the guild, so if you post something, I'll probably reply. All right, so let's jump into it. For those of you new to the podcast, the top of the stack is my monthly feature where I talk about the games that I have played in the last month and the games that I'd like to play in the next month. I run a lot of stats because it's fun to keep track of your gameplays and stuff. So, I don't know. I think it's fun. Maybe other people skip this episode. Who knows? Nonetheless, my monthly stats. I had 64 plays this month of 42 different games. That's not including my playtests. I don't know. Somehow I've fallen off recording my playtests in my game app. I need to go back to that because it's useful to keep track of how many games we're playing. But that brings my year total to 732 plays of 242 different games. Means I'm on track. If this year's December is anything like previous Decembers, we often play a bunch of games toward the end of December. I think I'm on track to break 800 plays this year. That's pretty fun. Maybe as a goal. 68 plays this month. I think I can do it. I don't know how many playtests I had of our games, but a few. My shelf of opportunity, my goal was to get it down below 20. Right at the beginning of the month, it was at 37. And at the end of the month, let me check. I usually have that number right here, but I've botched it. Hold on. Why did I fold up this paper? At the end of the month, I'm 36. So I got rid of one. I played one game. Let's just start off, top of the stack. I had 4 games on my top of the stack. They were a brand new game, Obsession, which is sort of Pride and Prejudice, the board game. There was a Revisit, a game that I'd played a few times in the past, and I wanted to revisit before I decide if it needs to leave the collection or not. That was going to be Reiner Knizia's Lord of the Rings. An audience choice. As you know, the shelf of opportunity is a geek list I keep over on Board Game Geek, and whatever game has the most votes or thumbs, you can vote for a game by putting a positive thumb next to it, is the game I try to play this month. And right now, there's only one game on the list with 4 votes, and that's Tichu. And then finally, the reattempt was Otys, O-T-Y-S, which was the top of the stack game in October, the new game. Well, I'm pleased to say that I got both Obsession and Otys played. I did not, however, get Lord of the Rings or Tichu played. Tichu, I'm going to need to take, I know I said this last month, I'm going to need to take some serious effort to figure out how to get that played. It's probably going to have to be on Board Game Arena with maybe some people from the Blue Peg Pink Peg forum, because it's a game you need to know how to play, and I think if you're new, you want to play it with people who are going to be a little forgiving while they're teaching it. But I really do want to get it played. The Revisit, Lord of the Rings, I really do like that game, and I want to try it again, but my wife was not keen on it this time around. I think I'm going to have to really push for it to get played again so I can decide if I want to keep it or not. Obsession, like I said, we did get played. I think I talked about that on the podcast. Really good game. I've played it 3 times now. My wife and I, between the two of us, we've tried out all the different factions in the main game. We did notice that when I bought the game, because I bought it used, it came with the Wessex expansion, which included a few more cards, I think one more small mechanism, and a new family, the Wessex family. And so we'll definitely be mixing that in starting in the next game, just for a bit more variety. I was 2 for 4 this month, although for some reason at some point I decided, because I used to just do 3 and then a reattempt, and the reattempt didn't count as one of the 3 that I have to play this month. So if I got 2 of the 4, it counts as 2 out of 3. It's a silly bit of nonsense, but that's what I'm doing. So my total for the year so far is 24 out of 33 possible games, meaning I need to play 12 games off my shelf of opportunity for next month. Actually, I can't make it up. I can make 4, getting for a total of 28 out of 36 next month, but we'll see. So that was my top of the stack. I had 7 new games that I tried this month, bringing me up to a total of 95 new to me games. Every new game that I played this month, as I'm looking at it, is a game in my collection with the exception of one. Otis and My City are 2 games I've played quite a bit. Otis I tried, My City I've played quite a bit. Obsession I've played 3 times. Railroad Inc. twice. Calico 3 times. Visitor in Blackwood Grove once. And I got to try Parks, which is a sort of set collection game with a time track that's pretty interesting. And I think that's going to be a family gift, Christmas present for my father-in-law, who really likes the national parks. So that brings it up to 95 new to me games as of last month, at the end of November. I did try a couple expansions as well. I tried the Mission Number 7 Unlock Epic Adventures expansion. I never really know what to call the different packs in Unlock. It feels weird to call them expansions because they're in fact new games, but the Unlock is a series, and so I don't really know how to address that, so I call them expansions. We also tried the Oceania expansion for Wingspan that came in. I really like that. It's gonna take a little while to get used to, but there's a lot of neat stuff going on in that game, and I'm excited to find out more. It comes with different player boards, so you have slightly different progression of the rewards for putting out the birds. It also comes with a new resource, the Nectar, which are these sort of pink circles. They look like flowers, I think. And they become a kind of wild resource most of the time, but some birds require nectar. It's kind of mixed bag. So that's the Oceania expansion to Wingspan. Out of the Dust is my next category that I think of. These are games that I haven't played in a year or longer. I track these as part of the community of people on Board Game Geek who track such things. There is an ongoing geek list called the Out of the Dust Geek List that I listen to and participate in. I had 4 games come out of the dust this month: Dead Man's Draw, Noir, the deductive mystery game, Kodama, the Tree Spirits, and Unstable Unicorns. The longest hibernating game was Kodama, the Tree Spirits, 4 years and 5 months and a couple days since I played that last. I can't believe it was that long. Kodama is a delightful little game of set collection in which you are laying out cards and trying to build these little trees with features on them. It was designed by Daniel Solis, and originally he self-published it as, I think it was called Kenji or something like that. It was sort of done with Japanese art with trees. The Kodama version is done with Kwanchai Moria art, this sort of cutesy fantasy art. It's lovely. I enjoyed that a lot. Unstable Unicorns was fine, but not my favorite. Dead Man's Draw is an excellent little push your luck game. And Noir Deductive Mystery Game is a great 2-player bluffing and deduction game that my daughter and I played. Those were my Out of the Dust plays this month. On to our challenges. So I have a number of different ways that I'm tracking the plays that we're doing. One of the big ones is the 20 by 5 challenge. Now in the past I've done 10 by 10 challenges, and for the first time last year I succeeded at completing my 10 by 10 challenge, which is pretty exciting. So of course this year we just botched it entirely. The 20 by 5 challenge was meant to address the fact that a couple of the games in our 10 by 10 challenge last year just didn't get played much for reasons. But in part because some of the games we discovered we didn't want to play them 10 times. 5 was enough. And so 5 plays of the game. So we thought, what if we just picked 20 games to play 5 times rather than 10 games to play 10 times each? Still 100 games, still fits the board thing that we have. let's give it a try, we said. Well, it's not going so great. We're at 45% complete at the end of November, meaning we would have to play 55 games in December just from this list of 20 games in order to finish. And that seems unlikely. Nonetheless, we are doing okay with many of them. This month we haven't added a ton of plays onto that list, but we're having fun with those games. The only 2 games that we've completed the 5 for 5 plays are Everdell and Brass. Some of the games we've literally played 0 times. A lot of them have 1 or 2 plays, but not the 5. Seems unlikely we're going to finish the challenge this year, but oh well, no biggie. I also wanted to look at, in the past I've also kept an organic 10x10, which is, or 5x5 or 10x10, which is where I just take games that I've played and put them on the 10x10 list organically, meaning I'm not planning to play those, and they're not restricted by having been on my 10x10 before, because that's one of my rules, is that I can't put a game on the 10 for 10 that I've already played 10 times, that I've already had on a 10 for 10 list, which actually is, I think, a good rule, but does prevent, it makes it harder every year to meet, because the games that are popular in my family one year to the next often stay popular. That said, I am keeping track of my H index. Your H index is a sort of grid where you look at games that you've played and how many times you've played each of them, and you get to the highest matching number. So if you've played 12 different games and you've played them each 4 times, your H index is 4. By contrast, if you've played 3 different games 12 times each, your H index is 3. So it's whichever is smaller, games or number of times each. If you think of it as sort of a grid, it's the spot where those meet, where you have 7 games. In my case, I have at least 7 games that I've played 7 times each on the table. Now, I don't count digital plays when I'm working on this particular list, because that would change entirely, because often the digital games that I pick I will play over and over again. But in terms of analog games, my H index is 7, meaning I have 7 games that I've played 7 times each, not counting the games in my family 10 for 10, none of which would make this anyway. So the games in my 7 are Gloomhaven, 51 plays, Cartographers, 17 plays, My City, 12 plays, Wingspan, 11 plays, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, 10 plays, that's the Baker Street expansion, The Isle of Cats, 10 plays, Arkham Horror, the card game, 8 plays, Brass Birmingham, 7 plays, Forgotten Waters, 7 plays, and Ink and Gold, 7 plays. Now, if you were counting along, that is 10 games that I've played 7 times each. So I could, with a little bit of effort, play Brass Birmingham, Arkham Horror, Forgotten Waters, and Ink and Gold 2 or 3 times each, and get up to a natural 10x10. I doubt that's going to happen this month, but you never know. Particularly, I have trouble seeing myself getting 3 games of Brass Birmingham in. That is not a short game nor easy to schedule. All right, moving on to another challenge is the 52-game challenge. Now, this one will be difficult but not impossible for me to succeed at, and is the one I'm most interested in striving for. The 52-game challenge is a list of 52 different qualities, elements, ideas, descriptions, and your goal is, over the course of the year, to play a game that meets each of these 52 qualities. I have, at this point, played 40 of them. So I have 12 qualities left to get, which is a lot, but not beyond the realm of doable. I just have to be a little intentional about it. So in that regard, the only game that I added to that list this time around was Calico. One of the things you had to do was play a game with a warm environment, and Calico is has a cuddly quilting theme. I call that a warm environment. So boom, 40 out of the 52 complete. So if I want to do that, I really need to put some effort into playing 3 or 4 games a week that fit that model. One of the lists I keep track of is leftovers. These are games that were on 10x10s previously that I then carry over and put in my leftover list. And as I play them, I sort of slowly mark them off with the idea of finishing those 10x10s, even if I do it later. And at this point, I'm down to 1 10x10 from the past that isn't finished. And that's the one in which I had the game Via Nebula. Now, right now, Via Nebula has, I think, 4 plays left or 6 plays left in order for me to complete it. And on doing so, I will my leftover list will be empty. But at the end of this year, I'm going to have a whole bunch of new games, 52 games in my leftover list again. So it'll be a while before I bring that down. Next up is the Shelf of Opportunity. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I have 36 unplayed games at the end of this one. This month, I added several games: My City, Railroad Inc., Visitor in Blackwood Grove, Calico, and Circadian's First Light. Of those, the only one I haven't played is Circadian's First Light, and to be fair, I only got that game yesterday, or I got the game on the 30th of November. I won it from the podcast, Blue Peg, Pink Peg. Hello, fellow Pegheads. During their live broadcast. That was really fun and exciting to win that. It's from Renegade Games. The art on the front, I can see why it didn't make a lot of copies sell. It looks a little amateurish, but the game itself looks really neat, and so I'm excited to bust it open and give it a try. Tons of little bits in that game. Like I said, I acquired several of those games this month, which brings my collection size up to 400 and, well, here it says 415. Board Game Geek says 416, so I'm not sure. Oh, because I don't have Circadians on here. So it's 416. Now that means I'm definitely not doing well in my plan to reduce the size of the collection by selling games off and being more aggressive about keeping things. Oh well. 2020's been a hard year for everybody. There's been a lot of crap that's happened, and frankly, the idea that I need to get rid of things that give me joy for an arbitrary reason just doesn't sit that strongly with me right now. So yeah, it'd be good to get my collection down. I feel like 400 is an important barrier to have crossed, and I should pull it down, but I'm not too worried about it. Plus, every game that I've gotten in the last month, I really enjoy. Although Visitor in Blackwood Grove is the least great of those, nonetheless. All right, so I have one more metric that I'm tracking, and that's the top 50 challenge. As most of you know, at the end of last year, I updated my top 50 list in a grand 2-part episode, in which I talked to, actually it was just I think it was a 1-hour episode that I just talked through the whole list. And that was fun to do. But as I was doing it, I realized that some of the games on my top 50 list I hadn't even played since the previous time that I updated that at the end of 2017. So there's something to be said for, can a game really be in your top 50 if you're not playing it every 2 years? So I made a plan to try to play every game in my top 50 list at least once before the next time I do my top 50 list. So it seems like the obvious math there would be I want to get 25 of those games played this year and then 25 of them played next year. So far, I'm doing pretty good. I have 22 of the 25 played, so I need to pick out 3 more this month to play to try to round out that list. So that's good. Which leads me to the final thing for our Top of the Stack episode, which is next month. I'm looking toward December. There's going to be a fair amount of game playing once we get through the incredible stress of the end of the semester for my wife and I, and the end of the first semester for the kids and their school. Tons and tons of work. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of time for games as well, which leads me to the 4 games I want to play. I decided that the audience choice and the revisit I would keep the same. Tichu and Lord of the Rings. I'm going to get these played before the end of the year. It is a goal. I don't know if I want to say vow, that sounds too serious, but a serious goal. I really want to try that. Which leads me to the new game of the month and the reattempt. So the new game of the month is going to be Circadian's First Light. I just mentioned I just got it. It looks really fun. I'm excited to try it. So that's kind of a no-brainer. Which leads me to the reattempt. Usually the 4th one on this list is a game that is a game that I previously tried to play as part of my Top of the Stack, and I failed. But I was looking over that list of those games, and I don't really want to try them. Plus, Tichu and Lord of the Rings are both repeats on this list, so I wanted to do something new. So I put Martin Wallace's Aeroplanes on there. This is a game I got a couple months ago. It looks like a fairly standard, if interesting, route building and company management game, and I'm excited to try it. It's from Mayfair, so it's probably going to be pretty good. I think 2011 maybe, or 2012 is the publication year. I'm excited to try it. So I put Aeroplanes on there as the extra game to give a try. So that brings me to the end of my Top of the Stack episode. What games have you been playing this month? What games are you playing next month? Do you like to make a Top of the Stack or track your stats? Now's your chance to head over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and join the conversation. Let me know how you did. Or reach out to me, Brendan at Rattlebox Games. I'd be happy to correspond with you by email if you prefer. Thanks for joining me on my walk this month. today and this month. I look forward to next time we walk together. Until then, I hope your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.